y'all, welcome back to my channel. I wanted to do a quick video. Sorry for the lighting. First off, I'm doing this kind of towards the end of the day and it's not the best lighting, especially because it's overcast and looks like it's gonna snow or rain. So sorry about that in advance. I'm gonna get the lighting better, forgive me for now. So anyways, that's not what this video is about today. This video is really about, I'm sure you saw the title, treatments that I feel are worth the hype. And these are also things that either I am considering doing or may do someday, or have done. Most of these I've done, and so I can truly speak to them. Some that I'm kind of thinking about for my future potential, and things that really what this comes down to is these are treatments that I can firmly stand behind and say they work. If you want something that works, these are ones that are truly worth the hype. Of course, that's just my opinion. So just to kind of start off, these are treatments, these are things that, again, I've done, and I'll share a little bit, touch on each one of them and what they do. However, we'll probably dig into each one in another video. I plan to talk a little bit more in depth, specifically about the laser or lasers that I'm going to share are worth the hype, and even take you along on getting actually a CO2 laser that I have planned. I've actually had to reschedule because I got sick, and so I'm hoping that it's not so far behind that I have to actually push it, because there is a season that is ideal for doing these treatments. So anyways, we'll just jump right in. And the first treatment or treatments that I truly believe in is Botox. I don't think I have to say too much about Botox because I know everybody knows about Botox or Dysport, and even more so now Sculptra, that has gotten incredibly popular, and definitely Sculptra I would stand behind, and I would say that is the direction that we're going in aesthetics. And that treatment alone is just, oh my gosh, a treatment that actually acts like a filler, but yet is constantly working and helping you produce more collagen because of this injection, while filling in areas that you want to be, have some more volume, such as maybe your temples, even people call them laugh lines. I would say it's just a phenomenal product because it does so much more than just fill in. I've had it done as well. I've had it on my temple, and I actually had a little bit in my chin, and I've had a little bit, if I remember correctly, around my mouth, because that's the area that I dislike the most, at least on my face. And so I've had a little bit of treatment around there. But the amazing thing is that it lasts for about 2 years. It can last. Now, everybody's different. It depends on your metabolism and how quickly you break things down. Everybody's a little bit different, but the manufacturer says that it can last up to 2 years, and it helps produce more collagen in your skin and specifically in that area. And then on top of all that, like I mentioned, it helps fill and acts as a filler. So it's an amazing product, and it's simply one of those things where if I'm gonna do a filler, it's my first choice. So definitely Sculptra, definitely Botox, and I put fillers on this list, but specifically Sculptra is my number one. And we kind of skipped over Botox. Obviously Botox, as far as one of the most amazing treatments that you can do, that's kind of, fairly instant gratification. It takes up to 10 days before you actually see, the true results. But I would still consider that pretty quick. And, there's not many other products on the market that have been around as long as Botox has that does what Botox claims. and truly, truly can make a pretty dramatic difference. And obviously you still want to be careful. There are definitely parts of your forehead that you really want to be cautious, so you don't end up looking like you're frowning or angry. But if done well, and you're seeing someone that is a trained professional that's been around doing it for a long time, I highly recommend someone that's been, in, facial aesthetics and that has been doing Botox for at least 5 years. I would say more, but at least 5 years. I don't think you can go wrong. It's just one of those standing products that I won't live without, and is truly worth the hype. So fillers, Botox, Sculptra, I kind of put that all in one kind of category because it really, kind of encompasses both of those. And fillers, not necessarily Sculptra. There are other fillers that I love and then I stand behind, fillers for like your lip and, of course, same different parts of same as Sculptra, but there are some areas that Sculptra would not be ideal, but fillers for your lip or your chin or even parts of your nose to make your nose look a lot different. I mean, it's just, those are products that truly can make a dramatic difference in somebody. And, they've been around for a long time. And one of those, or all three of those products with many of the manufacturers. And so putting that all in one category to say, obviously, definitely won't live without, but certainly worth the hype. Another product or treatment, not necessarily product, but treatment, I would say, is laser hair removal. I've had laser hair removal on different parts of my body, and I'm hoping to get another area done as well. And I can honestly say laser hair removal is another game-changing treatment. It just makes your life so much easier, and it just takes time, gives you time back that you had in your daily routine or your weekly routine, however long, you would do, shaving. If you were like me, I would literally shave every single day without fail. Unless I was deathly ill, I always shaved. So, it's been one of those things that gave me so much time back. I'm so incredibly grateful for it. And, for a while it was talked about a lot. And I think, now it's kind of just, people know about it. But I have to say, I'm bringing this back to say this is a treatment that's truly, 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 truly worth the hype. And I think everybody, if you shave on a regular basis, I feel like it's one of those treatments that you will be so grateful that you did and spent the money to do, because it gives so much more of your life back. I swear, the amount of time that I would take every single night to shave my legs, it just gets exhausting. It's tiring. And, I bet you if I added it up at the end of the year, I would have time to do something a lot more fun. So anyways, I wanted to add that to the list because, it's not one of those treatments that's really talked about too much. I mean, people talk about it, but it's not one of those treatments that, people make a big deal out of anymore. But I want to say it should be. It's totally worth the hype. And if you can, find some money for this treatment and find some time to go get it done, I highly recommend. And there's minimal downtime. So yes, and I wanted to just kind of go back really quickly on downtime because I want to share downtime on each of these treatments as well. And so for the Botox, filler, and Sculptra, you can do it any time of the year and the downtime is minimal. Like I mentioned with Botox, you really have to wait about 10 to 14 days to see the full effect of Botox. Sculptra and fillers are immediate when you see the results. The other downside to both of those, I would say you could have some minimal bruising, but if you do, Typically you can cover up with some makeup if you're going somewhere, but if you do have an event or a wedding or something special that you're going to attend, I highly recommend that you give it the full 10 to 14 days of Botox and fillers or Sculptra, just however long it takes you to recover from a bruise, and utilize that as your downtime. So anyway, sorry, jumping back. So Botox, fillers, Sculptra, laser hair removal, all treatments that are worth the hype in my opinion. Another treatment that I feel is definitely worth the hype and something that I have been getting on a regular basis is the VI peel. VI peel has been around for quite some time. I am not going to say how many years because I don't want to get it wrong, but I know they've been around for a long time. And I typically try and do it 4 times a year. I will say it's encouraged to do it winter, fall, or when you're not going to be in the sun. So it's nice if you do it every season up to 4 times a year, but you know, that's really going to depend on your lifestyle and if you're in the sun quite a bit. Because if you know that you're going to be going to Mexico or Hawaii, or you're just going to be out in the sun a lot, I would say don't do the VI peel. Push it off maybe another month. But I at least do it twice a year. I try to get it done at least every season. The VI peel is just kind of a traditional peel. It's not an aggressive peel at all. The esthetician would apply the peel on your face, and then you have homework to do when you get home, and you apply some products for a couple days following. And what it does is it helps with hyperpigmentation, it helps with fine lines, I would say not deep lines, very fine lines, and texture, because I mean, we're talking about a peel, so it's going to help peel the skin and help with collagen, help produce a little bit more collagen, help with cell turnover, because as we age, as we all know, our cell turnover slows way, way down. So the beauty of the VI peel is it kind of helps with cell turnover, helps with fine lines, wrinkles, helps with texture, but more than anything, I would say the one thing that really truly helps me personally, I would say it really gives you a glow. It helps kind of break down and slough off all that dead skin. It's a pretty, I would say more of like an aggressive exfoliant. It helps slough off that dead skin. And if you're going to a wedding, if you're going on a really important date, do it several weeks before so that you have time to really recover. Because, you know, the first, I would say, it's about 3 to 7 days that you look a little bit crazy. It gets really crazy around your mouth, and you have layers and layers of skin that are sloughing off, and you can't rip it off, you can't peel the skin. It's really tempting to, because it's, you know, large sections of your face that are shedding, and you're really tempted to just kind of like help slough that dead skin off, because it's coming off at, you know, at a very large volume. But the only thing you can do is kind of cut some of that skin. I know it sounds gross, but when they're really long and just kind of hanging, you can take, you know, small scissors and kind of cut around, but you certainly would never want to tug or pull or rip any skin off. I mean, you're risking getting some really bad scarring if you do that, and obviously that would be a shame, because that is counterintuitive to what you're trying to do. So you do have to be careful. It's not a crazy deep peel, so I don't want to scare you, because it's not. It really isn't. It's one of the lighter peels, but yet it's aggressive enough to where you see some results. Again, not deep lines. It's not a miracle worker, but it's nice to do in conjunction with some of these other treatments. And of course, home care is going to be number one. If you're not doing home care, then you're not going to get the benefits of even all of these other products. You know, it always starts with home care and having a good skincare regime. So VI peel, I would say winter, fall, when you're starting off. If you know you're going to be out of the sun for several weeks, 2 to 4 weeks, following the treatment, then I think you could certainly do it every season. But again, I would start off in the winter, as long as you're not, you know, going to be skiing in Vail or something and spending days on the mountain getting crazy sun. So you just want to be careful with that. Obviously, you're going to use SPF following this treatment with every treatment, because when you see how crazy your skin looks and all the peeling that's happening, it's almost impossible to even put SPF on unless you like spray it on your face, because you have, you know, parts of your face are lifted. So it's incredibly difficult to put SPF, and you really don't want to put anything on your skin other than the products that they give you and that they recommend. You really want to give your skin the time and, you know, the protection that it requires following this peel. But it's a beautiful peel. It's light, it's easy. It's, I would say, 3 to 7 days of downtime, probably closer to the 7. And certainly a couple of weeks after, you don't want to be in sun, but it's one of those peels that if you do it on a regular basis too, you're really going to see a difference as far as glow. Some hyperpigmentation, it does help with, it sloughs that off. It gives you a great exfoliating treatment, and it's, you know, going to give you, you know, benefits with texture. That's a big one for me, is texture, and that's why I do most of these treatments that help that. That's the direction I'm going. That's my goal with most of these treatments. So anyways, VI peel, definitely worth the hype and highly recommend. And then the next treatment is a laser, and so that's the CO2 laser. That's kind of the big kahuna, if you will. A little bit more aggressive as far as a laser treatment goes, and you know, you definitely, I would say, just to start, you want to go to someone that's been doing this a long time, because if they take this laser down to just the wrong level, you're going to really damage your skin and the fat pads, and you can burn your skin. So you really, really, really want to be careful and cautious who you go to. I personally had a CO2 done by a plastic surgeon that's been doing this for many, 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 many years. I've talked to people that have had the treatments by him and other treatments from him as well. And so that's why I went to him, and that's why I feel safe. Now, they charge a little bit more if you go to a plastic surgeon versus an esthetician or someone that's, you know, specializes in lasers. I mean, if this is someone that's just been doing lasers for a couple of months and they just, you know, bring that laser down just a little bit too deep, it's going to definitely affect and potentially damage your skin. So I don't know what happened to the light. I'm really sorry. It seems like it just all of a sudden went a little bit darker, so I apologize for that. I'm not entirely sure how that happened. So anyways, sorry. What a shame. So yeah, CO2 laser helps with pigmentation. It also helps with, like I said, texture, any kind of acne scarring. If you have any, it really can make an impact. You're obviously going to need a few treatments for something a little bit deeper, like acne scarring or maybe deep texture. Again, that's kind of the areas that I'm focusing on. It helps with hyperpigmentation, and a big thing too is it helps with collagen production. Again, another, you know, great treatment that really kind of gets in there and helps stimulate that collagen. And we all know what collagen does, and it helps with repair. It helps kind of build that skin back up. We know as we get older, everything kind of gets thinner and doesn't have the ability to stay up. And everything kind of starts to, you know, go south. So we want to encourage collagen production. We want to help the collagen to kind of bring that back and help with cell turnover and stimulate cells as I said, at the beginning of the video, our, cell production really slows down. And so this kind of helps bring back collagen into your skin. So that's going to help with repair, and that's not a one-time thing. If you have collagen rebuilding underneath your skin, that's a long-lasting effect that's going to help you over time. It's not just one time. It's going to continually help to rebuild and help the skin quality. So definitely huge. Anything with collagen is a good thing. So anyways, yes, so definitely worth the hype. I highly recommend you do a couple times a year. You could do probably 3 times a year. You definitely want to space those out. You don't want them too close to each other. I would recommend you wait at least 6 to 8 weeks between each laser. But obviously talk to your laser specialist or your plastic surgeon, esthetician, whoever is doing the laser. I would certainly consult with them and see what they recommend for your skin, because everybody's different. And I think, like I mentioned in one of the first videos, everybody has their own issues with their skin, or, we all have our thing, and not any 2 people are really alike. So you really want to see what works for you, and what works for me might not work for you, or what works for you might not work for me. So, it's just like, going to the doctor and having, different medications that work for you. And then I take those and I'm allergic to one, or it just does nothing for the issue. So it's the same with skincare. You really kind of find your secret recipe, what works for your face, what your skin likes, what your skin dislikes. I cannot tell you how many people would say, just tell me what you're using. Can you just write it down? And I'm like, sounds really nice, but just because it works for me doesn't necessarily works for you. So you kind of have to do a trial and error and see what your skin takes to and what it doesn't. So, but I would say laser is one of those treatments that everyone can do. Obviously, you want to consult, again, whoever is going to do that for you. If you're, a plastic surgeon, or your certified laser specialist or esthetician, talk to them about that and how many times you should do it. But it is certainly, in my opinion, from the results that I've seen on myself and on clients, it's a treatment that's worth the hype. And yes, it's worth the money. And I think I mentioned, and maybe didn't finish my sentence, it can depend on pricing. I think, my plastic surgeon was charging a lot more than someone else that I see here locally. And, I was okay with paying that in the beginning because, CO2 it's a pretty aggressive laser, and you don't want someone to burn you. You don't want someone to screw up when they're doing your face and just accidentally do something a little bit too hot or too deep, or whatever that may be. So definitely do your due diligence, spend the time to find someone that's been doing this a long time and that you trust. And, even look at their before and afters. Even on a laser, I would say, ask them if you can talk to one of their, clients, if they have somebody that, has gone to them, or a friend that referred because they've had this treatment done. It's really important to do your homework, make sure you go to someone that's qualified, and, understand too that it's going to take a few treatments. One treatment, you will see some difference. I did after one treatment, and my plastic surgeon didn't even go very deep with this. I even actually asked him if he actually did it. I said, are you sure you did it? Because he did a few treatments at the same time. And I was, ready to see those little grid marks, the little grid patterns that you usually see. I didn't see it, and that's okay, because I did actually see a difference, and I'm super excited about the treatment. It's one of those treatments that you do this a few times and you're going to be floored with the results. So definitely worth the hype. And then my last, well, actually I have two more. So the next one I would say is worth the hype, would be a lip lift. Now, I know it's kind of, I wouldn't say new, but it's fairly new to the aesthetics world as far as kind of more of a normal treatment. I guess I should say one of those treatments that people really didn't talk about before and didn't do as much. And I think people had them done years ago, but just didn't talk about it. Now this is a treatment that people talk about and do. And they're very common to do with another surgical treatment or procedure. So a lip lift I have not had done. I would love to have done, but I have not had that. And that is when they go in and they do what's called a little bullhorn incision. And it's just right underneath your nose, and it's the shape of a bullhorn, which is why they call it that. And it just takes the lip up, just a hair. Obviously, it's going to depend on how much the surgeon takes out, but it moves everything up, and so that you see more of the lip. And so anyone that has a pretty non-existent lip, which I would say I have very minimal upper lip, and so that's why I've considered doing it. I love lip filler, and I would love to not have to get lip filler. So this is one of those treatments that would be really nice for me so that I wouldn't have to do lip filler anymore. I haven't had lip filler in a very long time, and so I know it's pretty much gone, but I haven't because I have been considering for some time doing a lip lift. Now, a lip lift, the downtime on that is it's surgery. So obviously consult with your surgeon and understand that this is not just a, a treatment that you go in to see your esthetician and it's done. It's serious matter, and you can have a scar. So you want to make sure that you find a surgeon, just like the CO2 laser I was referring to, a surgeon that's done many, many, many of these. And definitely want to look at their before and afters. You want to, ask around, see if you can get a referral, a recommendation. Be very careful. I've seen lip lifts look ridiculous. And I think, shame on those surgeons, because there are people that are not a candidate for this treatment. It's like anything. Everybody is different, and some people will look silly having skin removed and their whole lip brought up and more teeth showing. Some people wouldn't look right with that. So it's gonna vary from person to person. But because it takes, it gives some of your time back if you're one of those people that does like lip filler, which again, I love lip filler. It does an amazing thing. But if you don't like lip filler, or you're tired of doing a lip filler and you know that you want a little bit more upper lip, it does nothing to the lower lip. It does bring everything up. I know you can still get filler after, so it might not eliminate the filler completely. It depends on what look you're going for. However, I think that it can bring back so much more of your time and money later on down the road if this is something that you do on a regular basis anyways. So highly recommend. Obviously, you're gonna wanna time that with your lifestyle, the downtime, it's surgery, so be prepared for that. And yet I still feel it's one of those procedures that is definitely worth the hype and something to look into. If you really enjoy getting filler and love a more full upper lip, and as we age, this distance between your nose and your upper lip, it gets longer, and that's what ages you. So if it's bothering you, or you noticing that, oh my gosh, why does this feel like it's so much further distance? Because it is. Because sadly it is as we age. And so it's definitely one of those things I have considered doing. Certainly worth the hype. Okay, so I would say the next treatment would be your brows. Microblading, micro shading, or even lamination. All all treatments that have been around for quite some time and then have definitely gotten popular and even unpopular for a while. But I still believe that these are why do I want to say that? Treatments that are worth the hype. I did micro blading with actually micro shading, and it's not as intense as a microblading. I'm certainly no expert in the microblading and the shading. However, I did this personally, and I think it was the best thing I ever did. I've not liked my brows since maybe high school. I liked them, and I don't have big, gigantic, but I do have, you know, kind of average size. But there are areas that I have noticed have gotten thinner, certainly because I have thyroid issues. With my thyroid issues, I've noticed, you know, kind of the wings, if you will, the ends of them, they got thinner and thinner over time, and they have pretty much gone to nothing. So I did have some shading done by someone here locally, and I'm obsessed. She's amazing. Highly recommend her. She even teaches students how to do this. I was recommended to her by a good friend. Otherwise, I would have never done that. I was too afraid to even do such a thing, especially to my face. It was just a lighter version of a microblading, and it really doesn't last forever. You have to go back every year and get touch-ups and such, but she's so good that, you know, even though I didn't have her do anything extra, I just literally had her bring back my old. I didn't have her reshape them or add fullness to any part of the brow. I just said, just fill in the areas that need it on the ends, and she was phenomenal. I do want to mention your brows look crazy for a good 7 days, so that would be the downtime I would mention. You don't want to go very many places looking insane like I did. So be prepared for about 7 days downtime, but absolutely worth the hype. And then the last but not least procedure that I definitely think is worth the hype, and I know this kind of brings a little bit of controversy to some women, to some people, and I'm not entirely sure why. I mean, I'm obsessed with skincare, anything skin related, skincare, beauty, makeup, the whole thing. So to me, I guess maybe it's not a big deal, but it's crazy to me that people get so touchy about this. But the procedure that I think is totally worth the hype is a facelift. If you have any kind of feeling of, you know, laxity in your face, specifically in your jowls or in your jaw or in your neckline, and as we get older, it's just inevitable. We all age. We're all going there to that point, and we're not going to be looking younger. We're going to be looking older. And so my thing is that why not do it younger rather than older? Why not enjoy your face younger rather than when you're in your 60s or 70s and then go get a facelift? Because you don't get to enjoy it as much. I mean, you do, you're enjoying it, but why not enjoying it while you're still looking a little bit younger? So obviously everybody's downtime is going to be different. I highly recommend you do 6 months to a year worth of research, finding the plastic surgeon that is going to be the best fit for you, that understands your concerns, that is on the same page, that agrees with you, that has the same goals in mind, and that you can speak freely with, and that you have a great relationship with. If you can talk to other clients, that would be ideal. And of course, everybody's downtime is going to be different. I would say at least plan on 6 to 8 weeks of downtime before you're, you know, back to feeling yourself. But y'all, I just don't see the big deal in having people go get a facelift. Like, so what? If that's what they want to do, and if that's what makes you feel better, I say go for it. Anything that's gonna make you feel better and like you can take on the world and, you know, look at yourself in the mirror and be happy with what God gave you and who you are. I think it's amazing. I think that it's a great thing to do, and I don't see the downside. I think you're only helping, you know, make yourself feel better. Obviously, you don't want to do this for someone else, but you know, most people don't do that for, I shouldn't say most people. I don't know, but I would say don't do it for someone else. If that's what you're doing, you're on the wrong path and you won't probably ever be happy. But for me, facelifts, I think they're amazing as long as they're done correctly and by someone that has done years and years and years of them. So definitely do your due diligence, do your homework, spend months to a year finding an amazing plastic surgeon and someone that you trust. And as long as you feel great about the plastic surgeon and you both have the same goals in mind, I think it's an amazing procedure, and I say go for it. And so definitely worth the hype. So anyways, I think that's it. I spoke a long time and the lighting, I don't know, it just went. So I'm sorry about that, you guys, but I hope this helped. It was kind of fun for me to really kind of sit down and think about. And just so you know, there's others that I think are worth the hype. These are kind of some of my top ones, the ones that I've been doing, and ones that might be just on the forefront of my mind that I want to do. But certainly I stand behind it. I think these are all treatments or procedures that are worth the hype. And if you're not doing any of these or haven't done any of these, but you know, curious and are considering, I would say definitely start with some of these. I mean, I gave you a very aggressive laser, so you could certainly look into lasers that are a lot less aggressive. I mean, I'm giving you ones, these are all treatments and procedures that are truly, they work. And people that get them done typically say a similar thing, just in clients that I've talked to and other estheticians, other esthetician friends, not all, but of course some. And so anyways, it's what I think, it's what I feel, and it's just from my experience working in a spa, having clients, and being the patient and the client myself. So I stand behind these and truly feel they're worth the hype. And if you guys have any questions, comments, feel free to drop them in the comments. I would love to get your feedback. Maybe you disagree, and that's okay too. So we all have our opinions, but these are products and treatments and procedures that I stand behind. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out, send me a DM, put it in the comments. If this was any help for you, please, you know, like the video, share the video. I'd love to build this channel. And just thank you for your time. Thank you for watching this. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'm gonna get this lighting right. Like, I got to, because oh my gosh, girl, it looks terrible. The lighting is awful, and you can't quite tell, but it's like almost completely dark outside. So anyways, that didn't help. I'll figure it out. I'm still a rookie. So anyways, okay, thank you guys. Have a good day.